Hi everyone, welcome to the MuleSoft Hackathon. Here we are going to see about an product which we built called Comtrace Filter. Here we'll see about the flows and the implementation that we have done. The scheduler gets triggered to fetch the messages from the Outlook on the Teams. The messages or the contents which we received from these both systems of fed into an OpenAI LLM, which detects the message we received as toxic or which contains sensitive contents. If if the toxicity is detected, it is flagged into and it is sent as an alert to the Slack. This is the overall API-led connectivity diagram which we have implemented. In process layer, the scheduler gets triggered and goes through the Outlook and Teams to fetch the messages, and to detect the toxicity and to set the alert. We have developed a system layer for toxicity detection and to send the alert messages. If the foul message is detected, it is sent as an alert to the Slack system with the help of system layer. Now we'll see about the implementation. Here the scheduler gets triggered and gets triggered and we have certain variable for the current run date, and through the object store we'll retrieve the previous run date to get the only fetch the delta loads. Certain to For logging we have certain logger to get the previous run date, which both the inputs are fed through scatter together to the Teams and Outlook. In Teams, we to get to authorize it to get the token, we have used an endpoint called token, which where we'll fed the tenant ID, and in payload in body we'll give the client ID, client secret, and the scopes required for it, and in headers we'll give the content type which is required. Where we have the output from this is stored in the target variable called Teams access token, which is used in the next step to fetch the chat messages which is received at the latest. We have used a graph API, the endpoint called chats, where in headers where we are passing the access token which is retrieved from the previous steps, and it is filtered based upon the last updated date time so that it gets only the last received few of the messages. To iterate each of the messages, we have taken payload.value which is fed into a endpoint called messages. It iterates each of the through the we'll pass the message each message ID, and we'll iterate each of the messages. Here also we'll pass the access token. It is also filtered based upon the last modified date time. And finally, we are storing all these response in a variable called Teams response. And the same happens in the Outlook flow, where we'll pass tenant ID, client secret, and the required scopes to retrieve the token. And in variable, we have set in name called Outlook access token, which is used in the next step to get the Outlook emails which we received, the endpoint as messages. It is also based upon filter using receive date time. In this from the we'll get a huge payload. From the payload we are storing the content where which contains the subject and the body, which is concatenated together, and the display name is nothing but the sender who sends the mail to us last updated time, and the application whether it is Microsoft Outlook or Teams. So these both is sent into concatenated, and it is sent through for each of the iteration, and the variable is we are setting it in a variable called toxicity detection. This is each of the messages fed into the OpenAI LLM which we have built. This this sends, and when the toxicity message or the sensitive content is foul message is detected, we are doing some data view transformation, where we'll set where from which application we have got, whether it is Microsoft Teams or Microsoft Outlook. If if it's so, then we are if it is from Teams, we are sending as it is. If it is from Outlook, we are concatenating the subject and the body of it and sending it, and we'll send the from whom we received it and the timestamp, the where at what time we received, and the received application. This helps in identifying the uh, sender at the right time, and this is sent into an alert Slack as an into Slack as an alert message. To authorize this, we need a client secret and client ID to send an notification into the Slack system API. And here we have storing the current run date, so that it is helpful in running the next flow, so it gets the time time to run at previous run date, and the flow gets the end here, and the bill got successful. See, for example, this is an email where we have an subject called feedback, and see here we have got called no offense, but your work is constantly disappointing. Maybe you are just not cut out for this work. This comes under harmful and discrimination. This is an phrase like hateful message. So this is also one kind of toxicity. So when this is fed into an LLM or OpenAI LLM, it sends a true. It we have in some of transformation. It sends true, and where the alert is sent, you can see the message sent to the Slack, which is as an alert. See a foul message received from whom, and got it from which system. It is Outlook or Teams at what time, and the subject and the body of the message, which says what they have sent. So if you see, this is in some of the hateful message, right? So it got an alert. As for of Teams, and as for of Teams, you can see the previous alert messages. The message content you can see here is those idiots. It is also for kind of one of the discriminating word phrase like right. So it got a message. So it says the receipt from whom, at what system, it is Teams or Outlook, and what time, and the content is those idiots. These were our implementation. This is done mainly for the compliance breaches, so that it is and it will be helpful for the HR team to check whether the employees are sending some sensitive contents or not. That's it. Thank you.